Jin-Ho Kim wiped the sweat from his forehead as he tightened the last bolt on the engine. The small repair shop on Ganymede was quiet, except for the soft hum of machines. Jin-Ho preferred it this way. Machines made sense to him. They broke for clear reasons and could be fixed with the right tools. People were much harder to understand. Almost done for the day, he said to himself, looking at the clock on the wall. The repair shop was small but well equipped. Tools hung neatly on the walls and spare parts filled labeled bins. Everything had its place. Jin-Ho liked order in his workspace, even if his living quarters above the shop were messy. Outside, Ganymede's pale landscape stretched far. The Jupiter moon was not a friendly place. Most humans lived in the main settlement 2 miles away. Jin-Ho chose to live apart from them. The distance suited him just fine. He was about to shut down his equipment when a strange noise came from his communication system. It was not the usual channel used by the settlement. The sound was like nothing he had heard before, high-pitched and pulsing in an odd pattern. Jin-Ho frowned. That's not a standard distress call. He checked his scanner. The signal came from the rocky area 10 miles east, far from any human paths. The Jovian Authority had rescue teams for emergencies, but something about this signal seemed different. It used a frequency that standard systems might miss. Jin-Ho hesitated. It wasn't his job to rescue people. He fixed machines, not situations. But curiosity pulled at him. Just a quick look, he told himself. If it's serious, I'll call it in. He grabbed his emergency kit and climbed into his utility craft. The vehicle was his pride and joy, heavily modified with parts salvaged from crashed ships. It could handle the rough terrain of Ganymede better than standard models. The journey took 20 minutes. As Jin-Ho approached the signal's location, he saw a trail of debris. Something had crashed and skidded almost half a mile across the surface. The wreckage ahead looked strange even from a distance. What kind of ship is that? Jin-Ho whispered as he parked and put on his environmental suit. The crashed vessel looked nothing like human ships. Its shape was fluid, with curves that seemed to flow like water frozen in time. Parts of it appeared to be made of a crystal-like material that caught the dim sunlight. Other sections looked almost organic, like a living thing rather than a machine. Jin-Ho approached slowly, scanner in hand. The air around the crash site was still breathable. The ship's hull had kept the atmosphere contained somehow. He removed his helmet carefully, eyes wide as he took in the alien technology. "This is beyond anything I've ever seen," he muttered, touching a smooth section of hull. It felt warm under his fingers, almost like skin. A low sound from inside the ship made him jump back. Something was alive in there. Common sense told Jin-Ho to retreat and call the authorities. This was clearly a first contact situation, something for experts and officials to handle. But the sound came again, weaker this time. It reminded Jin-Ho of an injured animal. He found an opening in the damaged hull and peered inside. At first, he could see nothing in the dim interior. Then his eyes adjusted and Jin-Ho gasped. A massive creature lay trapped under fallen debris. Its body was long and snake-like, but with 4 limbs ending in clawed hands. Thin, damaged wings spread out beneath it. But most striking was its color. Pure, white scales that seemed to glow softly in the darkness. The creature's eyes opened as Jin-Ho approached, bright red eyes that fixed on him with clear intelligence. "You're hurt," Jin-Ho said, knowing the creature couldn't understand him but speaking anyway. "I want to help if I can." The alien being made no aggressive moves. Jin-Ho could see now that its lower body was badly injured. A large section of the ship's interior had collapsed onto its spine. The creature was paralyzed, unable to free itself. Jin-Ho studied the fallen debris. As a mechanic, he quickly understood the structure and how to safely move it. Working carefully, he used tools from his kit and his knowledge of leverage to lift the heaviest pieces away from the creature. The alien watched him work, those red eyes never leaving him. Jin-Ho felt no fear, only a strange connection. Here was another being, far from home and in desperate need. It didn't matter that it wasn't human. After an hour of careful work, Jin-Ho had freed the creature from the debris. Its lower body remained motionless. The damage to its spine was severe. "You need medical help," Jin-Ho said. "But I don't know who could help you." The official response would be to contain and study this alien life form. Scientists would take over. The military would get involved. Jin-Ho had seen how the Jovian Authority treated new discoveries as resources to be used. Looking at the injured being before him, Jin-Ho couldn't see it as a resource. He saw a living thing in pain. The alien's breathing was labored. Without help, it would die here. Jin-Ho made his decision. "I'm going to move you to my shop. It's not safe for you here." The creature was enormous, at least 15 feet long from head to tail. Getting it to Jin-Ho's utility craft would not be easy. The alien seemed to understand Jin-Ho's intention. It shifted its upper body, trying to help despite its paralysis. Jin-Ho fashioned a makeshift sled from flat pieces of the ship's hull. With great effort, he managed to slide the creature onto it. The alien was lighter than its size suggested, but still incredibly heavy for one person to move. Sweat poured down Jin-Ho's face as he pulled the sled toward his utility craft. The distance wasn't great, but the terrain was rough. Several times, he had to stop and rest, his muscles burning with effort. The alien made no sound during the journey. Its red eyes remained fixed on Jin-Ho, watching his every move. At the utility craft, Jin-Ho faced his biggest challenge. The cargo area was large, but getting the creature into it seemed impossible for one person. As if sensing his problem, the alien used its front limbs to pull itself partly into the craft. Jin-Ho pushed from behind, and together they managed to get the entire body inside. "That's teamwork," Jin-Ho said with a tired smile. "Now let's get you somewhere safe." As he piloted the craft back toward his shop, Jin-Ho glanced at his passenger. The white dragon-like being had curled into itself, conserving energy. Its breathing was shallow but steady. Jin-Ho knew that his life had just changed forever. He had no idea how to help this creature walk again, or even if it could recover. He didn't know if it was dangerous or what would happen when others discovered it. All he knew was that he couldn't leave it to die alone. "I'll do what I can," Jin-Ho promised, as his shop came into view on the horizon. "That's all any of us can do." The alien's eyes closed slowly, trusting itself to the care of a human mechanic who saw beyond its strange appearance to the living being within. Jin-Ho Kim wiped the sweat from his forehead as he tightened the last bolt on the engine. The small repair shop on Ganymede was quiet, except for the soft hum of machines. Jin-Ho preferred it this way. Machines made sense to him. They broke for clear reasons and could be fixed with the right tools. People were much harder to understand. "Almost done for the day," he said to himself, looking at the clock on the wall. The repair shop was small but well equipped. Tools hung neatly on the walls and spare parts filled labeled bins. Everything had its place. Jin-Ho liked order in his workspace, even if his living quarters above the shop were messy. Outside, Ganymede's pale landscape stretched far. The Jupiter moon was not a friendly place. Most humans lived in the main settlement 2 miles away. Jin-Ho chose to live apart from them. The distance suited him just fine. He was about to shut down his equipment when a strange noise came from his communication system. It was not the usual channel used by the settlement. The sound was like nothing he had heard before, high-pitched and pulsing in an odd pattern. Jin-Ho frowned. "That's not a standard distress call." He checked his scanner. The signal came from the rocky area 10 miles east, far from any human paths. The Jovian Authority had rescue teams for emergencies, but something about this signal seemed different. It used a frequency that standard systems might miss. Jin-Ho hesitated. It wasn't his job to rescue people. He fixed machines, not situations. But curiosity pulled at him. "Just a quick look," he told himself. "If it's serious, I'll call it in." He grabbed his emergency kit and climbed into his utility craft. The vehicle was his pride and joy, heavily modified with parts salvaged from crashed ships. It could handle the rough terrain of Ganymede better than standard models. The journey took 20 minutes. As Jin-Ho approached the signal's location, He saw a trail of debris. Something had crashed and skidded almost half a mile across the surface. The wreckage ahead looked strange even from a distance. "What kind of ship is that?" Jinho whispered as he parked and put on his environmental suit. The crashed vessel looked nothing like human ships. Its shape was fluid, with curves that seemed to flow like water frozen in time. Parts of it appeared to be made of a crystal-like material that caught the dim sunlight. Other sections looked almost organic, like a living thing rather than a machine. Jinho approached slowly, scanner in hand. The air around the crash site was still breathable. The ship's hull had kept the atmosphere contained somehow. He removed his helmet carefully, eyes wide as he took in the alien technology. "This is beyond anything I've ever seen," he muttered, touching a smooth section of hull. It felt warm under his fingers, almost like skin. A low sound from inside the ship made him jump back. Something was alive in there. Common sense told Jinho to retreat and call the authorities. This was clearly a first contact situation, something for experts and officials to handle. But the sound came again, weaker this time. It reminded Jinho of an injured animal. He found an opening in the damaged hull and peered inside. At first he could see nothing in the dim interior. Then his eyes adjusted and Jinho gasped. A massive creature lay trapped under fallen debris. Its body was long and snake-like, but with 4 limbs ending in clawed hands. Thin, damaged wings spread out beneath it. But most striking was its color. Pure, white scales that seemed to glow softly in the darkness. The creature's eyes opened as Jinho approached, bright red eyes that fixed on him with clear intelligence. "You're hurt," Jinho said, knowing the creature couldn't understand him but speaking anyway. "I want to help if I can." The alien being made no aggressive moves. Jinho could see now that its lower body was badly injured. A large section of the ship's interior had collapsed onto its spine. The creature was paralyzed, unable to free itself. Jinho studied the fallen debris. As a mechanic, he quickly understood the structure and how to safely move it. Working carefully, he used tools from his kit and his knowledge of leverage to lift the heaviest pieces away from the creature. The alien watched him work, those red eyes never leaving him. Jinho felt no fear, only a strange connection. Here was another being, far from home and in desperate need. It didn't matter that it wasn't human. After an hour of careful work, Jinho had freed the creature from the debris. Its lower body remained motionless. The damage to its spine was severe. "You need medical help," Jinho said. "But I don't know who could help you." The official response would be to contain and study this alien life form. Scientists would take over. The military would get involved. Jinho had seen how the Jovian Authority treated new discoveries, as resources to be used. Looking at the injured being before him, Jinho couldn't see it as a resource. He saw a living thing in pain. The alien's breathing was labored. Without help, it would die here. Jinho made his decision. "I'm going to move you to my shop. It's not safe for you here." The creature was enormous, at least 15 feet long from head to tail. Getting it to Jinho's utility craft would not be easy. The alien seemed to understand Jinho's intention. It shifted its upper body, trying to help despite its paralysis. Jinho fashioned a makeshift sled from flat pieces of the ship's hull. With great effort, he managed to slide the creature onto it. The alien was lighter than its size suggested, but still incredibly heavy for one person to move. Sweat poured down Jinho's face as he pulled the sled toward his utility craft. The distance wasn't great, but the terrain was rough. Several times, he had to stop and rest, his muscles burning with effort. The alien made no sound during the journey. Its red eyes remained fixed on Jinho, watching his every move. At the utility craft, Jinho faced his biggest challenge. The cargo area was large, but getting the creature into it seemed impossible for one person. As if sensing his problem, the alien used its front limbs to pull itself partly into the craft. Jinho pushed from behind, and together they managed to get the entire body inside. "That's teamwork," Jinho said with a tired smile. "Now let's get you somewhere safe." As he piloted the craft back toward his shop, Jinho glanced at his passenger. The white dragon-like being had curled into itself, conserving energy. Its breathing was shallow but steady. Jinho knew that his life had just changed forever. He had no idea how to help this creature walk again, or even if it could recover. He didn't know if it was dangerous or what would happen when others discovered it. All he knew was that he couldn't leave it to die alone. "I'll do what I can," Jinho promised, as his shop came into view on the horizon. "That's all any of us can do." The alien's eyes closed slowly, trusting itself to the care of a human mechanic who saw beyond its strange appearance to the living being within. Jinho backed his utility craft into the large repair bay behind his shop. He had closed the main doors and turned off the outside lights. No one needed to see what he was bringing home. The alien dragon lay still in the cargo space. Its breathing was steady but shallow. The white scales reflected the dim light, making the creature seem to glow from within. Jinho stood for a moment, wondering if he had lost his mind. "What am I supposed to do with you?" he asked. The red eyes opened and looked at him. Jinho felt a strange shiver. Those eyes held intelligence. This was not just an animal. Jinho cleared out his storage area, moving boxes and spare parts to make a large open space. He laid down soft padding from packaging materials and made a nest-like bed big enough for the dragon. With great effort, he managed to slide the creature from his vehicle onto the makeshift bed. "I need help," Jinho admitted to himself. There was only one person he trusted, Hyunji Lee, the settlement's veterinarian. They had been friends since childhood. If anyone could help with an injured alien, it would be her. Jinho sent her a simple message. "Medical emergency at my shop, come alone, tell no one." While waiting, Jinho brought water to the alien. He wasn't sure if it could drink earth water, but he had to try something. He held a large bowl near its mouth. The dragon sniffed at it, then extended a thin, forked tongue to taste the liquid. After a moment, it began to drink slowly. "That's good," Jinho said softly. "At least we know you can have water." 30 minutes later, there was a quiet knock at the back door. Jinho let Hyunji in quickly, checking to make sure no one had followed her. "This better be important," Hyunji said. "I was about to eat dinner." She carried her medical bag and looked tired after a long day of treating the settlement's animals. Jinho led her to the storage room without speaking. When Hyunji saw the white dragon, she froze. The bag slipped from her hand and hit the floor with a thud. "Jinho," she whispered, "what have you done?" "It crashed in the eastern hills," he explained. "It was injured and dying. I couldn't leave it there." Hyunji moved closer, her shock giving way to professional interest. "This is an alien life form. We should inform the authorities." "You know what they'll do," Jinho argued. "They'll treat it like a lab experiment. It's hurt and needs help first." Hyunji knelt beside the creature. She looked into its red eyes and saw the same intelligence that Jinho had noticed. Slowly, she reached out her hand. The dragon watched but did not move away. It allowed her to touch its head. "Its body temperature is higher than ours," she noted. "The skin feels almost like a snake's, but softer." Jinho pointed to the lower body. "Its spine is damaged. It can't move anything below the middle of its body." For the next hour, Hyunji examined the dragon as best she could. She had only her veterinary tools and knowledge of earth animals to guide her. The dragon stayed calm and seemed to understand they were trying to help. "The spine is definitely damaged," Hyunji confirmed. "In an earth animal, I would say it might never walk again, but this isn't an earth animal. I have no idea how its body works or heals." "Can you help with the pain at least?" Jinho asked. Hyunji looked uncertain. "I'm afraid to give it any medication. What works for earth animals might kill it. Let me try something simpler first." She took out needles used for acupuncture and carefully placed them along the dragon's upper body. The creature tensed at first, then relaxed as the treatment continued. Its breathing became deeper and more regular. "That seems to help," Hyunji said with relief. "I can come back tomorrow with more supplies." After she left, Jinho sat beside the dragon. "I'm going to call you Bayek," he said. "It means white in my language. I hope you don't mind." Beck blinked slowly, as if in agreement. Jinho set up a small cot next to the dragon's bed. He couldn't leave it alone overnight. As he prepared to sleep, he noticed Bayek watching him work on the cot. "Do you want to see what I'm doing?" Jinho asked. He held up the tool he was using to tighten the cot's legs. To his surprise, Beck extended one of its front limbs toward the tool, as if interested in it. Jinho brought his toolbox closer and began showing different tools to Beck. The dragon seemed fascinated, especially by the more complex ones. When Jinho demonstrated how a small engine part worked, Beck's eyes followed every movement. "You understand mechanics," Jinho realized. "You're interested in how things work." Over the next few days, a routine developed. Hyunji came twice daily to check on Bayek and provide treatments for pain. Jinho created a better living space for the dragon and found that it could eat some types of protein-rich foods from their supplies. But the most interesting development was the way Jinho and Bayek began to communicate. It started with simple diagrams Jinho drew to show mechanical concepts. Bayek would watch, then use its front claw to draw its own versions in the soft dirt Jinho provided in a large tray. Beck's drawings were strange but clearly showed advanced mechanical systems, different from human technology but following similar principles of energy and motion. Jinho realized that Bayek wasn't just intelligent, it was some kind of engineer or mechanic like himself. "We're not so different, are we?" Jinho said as they sat together studying each other's drawings. "We both fix things." On the 5th night, Jinho fell asleep next to Beck as usual. His dreams that night were vivid and strange. He saw stars he didn't recognize, and planets with impossible colors. He flew through clouds of glowing gas and landed on worlds where the plants moved like animals, and the mountains floated above the ground. When Jinho woke with a start, he found Bayek watching him. A thin thread of glowing energy connected their foreheads for just a moment before fading away. Jinho gasped and sat up. "Was that you? Were you in my dreams?" Beck made a soft rumbling sound. It reached out and touched Jinho's forehead gently, with one claw. In that moment, Jinho understood. Beck was telepathic. The dreams weren't random. They were images of Beck's home and journey through space. "You were showing me where you come from," Jinho whispered. "You were trying to talk to me." The next morning, Jinho was excited to tell Hyunji about the connection. "Beck shared memories with me. It's telepathic, Hyunji. It's trying to communicate." Hyunji looked concerned. "That's amazing if true, but Jinho, we've been hiding Beck for almost a week now. People are starting to talk about the crash site. A research team from Earth is coming to investigate." Jinho felt a chill. "When?" "They arrive tomorrow. The whole settlement knows about the strange ship that crashed. Someone must have spotted you going to check it out." Jinho turned to Beck, who seemed to sense their worry. Through simple drawings and the growing telepathic link, Jinho tried to explain the danger. Beck's response was to draw something new, a picture that looked like the crashed ship connected to Bayek itself. "I think I understand," Jinho said slowly. "The ship isn't just a ship. It's part of you somehow, isn't it? You're connected to it." Beck drew another picture. The ship and dragon separate, both broken. Then a third picture. The ship and dragon joined, both whole. Jinho looked at Hyunji. "I think Beck is telling us that it needs to reconnect with its ship to heal. The ship isn't just transportation, it's a living extension of Bayek itself." "If that's true," Hyunji said, "then the research team might be damaging part of Bayek by examining the wreckage." Jinho felt a new determination. "Then we need to get Bayek back to its ship before they take it all apart. Somehow we need to help them reconnect." Beck's red eyes seemed to glow with hope for the first time since the crash. A mechanic from Earth and one from the stars had found a common language in their shared understanding of how things worked, and perhaps how they could be fixed. The morning sun cast long shadows across Ganymede's rocky surface as the Earthship landed at the main settlement. Jinho watched from the window of his shop as people gathered to meet the visitors. Even from a distance, he could see the corporate logo on the side of the ship, Stellar Technologies, a company known for their weapons development. "This is bad," Jinho muttered to himself. He hurried back to the storage room where Bayek rested. The white dragon was awake and alert, red eyes following Jinho as he entered. Through their growing mental connection, Jinho could sense Beck's worry. People from Earth have arrived, Jinho explained, drawing a simple picture of the ship. They want to find your ship. They might want to find you too. Beck made a low sound and used a claw to draw in the dirt tray. The image showed the dragon's ship broken into pieces with lines of energy fading from it. Your ship is dying without you, Jinho guessed. Beck nodded its large head. The door chimed, making Jinho jump. He quickly covered the entrance to the storage room with a large piece of cloth and went to see who had arrived. Hyunji stood at the door, her face tight with worry. They're here, she said as she entered. A team from Stellar Technologies led by Dr. Do-Yoon Park. They're calling themselves a research group, but they brought armed security with them. What do they know? Jinho asked. They know a non-human ship crashed. They have equipment to track the alien materials. It won't take them long to find the crash site if they haven't already. Jinho ran a hand through his hair. I need to find out what they know and what they plan to do. You can't just walk up and ask, Hyunji pointed out. No, but I can offer to help. I'm the best mechanic on Ganymede. They might need someone who knows the terrain and has the right equipment. The plan was risky but necessary. Jinho needed to learn how much time they had before the corporate team found Bayek's ship, or worse, found Bayek. Jinho took his utility craft to the main settlement. The Earthship dominated the small landing area, surrounded by crates of equipment being unloaded. People from the settlement watched from a distance, curious about the visitors. A man in a clean gray suit stood giving orders to workers. His posture was stiff, his face cold and focused. Jinho approached him directly. Dr. Park? He asked. I'm Jinho Kim. I run the repair shop on the east side of the settlement. I heard you're investigating the crash. I can help with transport and equipment. Dr. Park looked Jinho up and down. His eyes were sharp and calculating. The mechanic, yes, I've heard about you. You were the first to visit the crash site, correct? Jinho tried to keep his face neutral. News travels fast in a small place like this. I checked out the signal but found nothing useful. Just strange. Wreckage. Nothing useful? Dr. Park repeated. Not even the pilot of the ship? Jinho's heart raced, but he kept his voice steady. No signs of any life. Whatever flew that ship must have died in the crash. Dr. Park studied Jinho's face for a long moment. We could use a local guide. Be ready to take a team to the crash site tomorrow morning. 6 o'clock sharp. Jinho nodded and left quickly, feeling Dr. Park's eyes on his back. The man didn't believe him. That much was clear. Back at his shop, Jinho told Hyunji about the meeting. They suspect something. Dr. Park already knows I visited the crash site, and he asked specifically about the pilot. We need to move back, Hyunji said. It's not safe here anymore. Move it where? A 15-foot alien dragon isn't easy to hide. A knock at the door silenced them both. Jinho approached cautiously and opened it just enough to see who was there. A young man in a Stellar Technologies security uniform stood outside. He looked nervous, glancing over his shoulder to make sure no one saw him. Are you Jinho Kim? He asked in a low voice. Who's asking? My name is Tae-woo. I need to talk to you in private. It's about the alien ship. Jinho hesitated, then let the man in. Tae-woo's eyes widened when he saw Hyunji, but Jinho quickly explained that she could be trusted. Why are you here? Jinho demanded. Tae-woo took a deep breath. I know what Stellar Technologies really wants. I've seen their orders. They're not here to study the alien ship. They're here to take its weapons technology. And they believe the pilot survived. Why are you telling us this? Hyunji asked. Because I joined the company to explore space and help advance science, not to steal technology and harm alien life. Tae-woo's face showed real concern. Dr. Park ordered us to capture any alien life forms we find, dead or alive. He doesn't care about making peaceful contact. Jinho exchanged a look with Hyunji. Should they trust this man? Could he help them? What if, Jinho began carefully, someone did find the pilot and was trying to help it? Taewoo's eyes lit up. Then I would want to help too. Is it here? Is it alive? After a long silence, Jin-ho nodded. Yes. And we need to get it back to its ship before your people take everything apart. Jin-ho led Taewoo to the storage room and pulled back the cloth. Baek lay on its bed watching them with those intelligent red eyes. Taewoo gasped and stepped back in shock. It's beautiful, he whispered. And it's hurt? Spinal damage, Hyunji explained. It can't move its lower body, and from what we understand, its ship is somehow connected to it. They need each other to survive. Taewoo approached Baek slowly. The dragon watched him but made no threatening moves. I want to help, Taewoo said firmly. What can I do? We need to know what Dr. Park is planning and when, Jin-ho said. And we need a way to get back to its ship without being seen. Taewoo nodded. Dr. Park is starting the salvage operation tomorrow. They've already found the crash site and set up equipment. They plan to transport the largest pieces to Earth for study. Jin-ho felt a wave of alarm from Baek through their mental link. An image flashed in his mind, the ship being cut apart, and with each piece removed, Baek's life force growing weaker. We need to move tonight, Jin-ho decided. After dark, when most people are asleep, the three humans spent the afternoon planning. Taewoo provided his security clearance codes and information about the team's movements. Hyunji gathered medical supplies for Baek, unsure what would happen when the dragon reconnected with its ship. As evening approached, Jin-ho modified his utility craft to better carry Baek. He added padding and supports to keep the dragon stable during the journey. The craft wasn't designed for stealth, but Jin-ho disabled the running lights and muffled the engine as much as possible. How will we get back into the craft? Hyunji asked, looking at the massive dragon. To their surprise, Baek seemed stronger than before. Using its front limbs, it pulled itself forward with more energy than they had seen since the rescue. Through the mental link, Jin-ho understood. Baek could sense its ship nearby and was drawing strength from that connection, even at a distance. With great effort and careful coordination, the three humans helped Baek into the utility craft. The dragon's lower body still hung limp and useless, but its determination was clear. Night fell across Ganymede. Jin-ho checked the time, 11:30 p.m. local time. Most of the settlement would be sleeping now, including most of the Earth team. Taewoo, go back to your quarters, Jin-ho instructed. Act normal. If anyone asks, you never saw us. Taewoo nodded. The security shift changes at midnight. That's when the camp will be least alert. I've disabled the motion sensors on the east side of the crash site. You should be able to approach from that direction without being detected. Thank you, Jin-ho said, gripping the young man's shoulder. You're taking a big risk to help us. It's the right thing to do, Taewoo replied simply. Good luck. As Taewoo left, Jin-ho and Hyunji made final preparations. The utility craft was ready. Baek was secured inside. They had one chance to reconnect the dragon with its ship. Jin-ho climbed into the driver's seat and started the engine. It hummed quietly, the modifications working as planned. Hyunji sat beside him, medical kit on her lap. Ready? Jin-ho asked. Hyunji nodded, her face showing both fear and determination. Ready? In the back, Baek made a soft sound of agreement. The connection between the dragon and Jin-ho had grown stronger, and he could feel Baek's mix of hope and anxiety. The utility craft rolled out of the repair bay and into the Ganymede night. Ahead lay the crash site, now surrounded by Earth technology and guarded by people who wanted to take the ship apart piece by piece. Jin-ho gripped the controls tightly. Hold on, he said to his companions. We're going to bring you home, Baek, whatever it takes. The utility craft moved slowly across Ganymede's dark landscape. Jin-ho kept the engine on its lowest setting to reduce noise. Beside him, Hyunji checked her medical supplies by the dim glow of a small light. In the back, Baek lay still, but its red eyes were wide open and alert. We're about a mile from the crash site, Jin-ho whispered. I can see lights ahead. The Earth team had set up powerful floodlights around Bayek's ship. The alien vessel glowed under the harsh light, its white and crystal surface reflecting the beams. Several large pieces had already been cut away and loaded onto transport vehicles. Jin-Ho felt a wave of sadness from Bayek through their mental connection. The dragon was watching its ship, part of itself being taken apart piece by piece. "We'll approach from the east side," Jin-Ho reminded Hyunji. Tae-woo said the security sensors are disabled there. They parked the craft behind a large rock formation about a quarter-mile from the site. Jin-Ho shut down the engine and turned to Bayek. "We need to be very quiet," he said, even though he knew Bayek understood through their link. "I'll go ahead first to make sure it's safe." Bayek blinked, in agreement. Jin-Ho could feel the dragon's determination growing stronger as they got closer to the ship. Jin-Ho and Hyunji stepped out of the craft and walked to the edge of the rocks. From there, they could see the full operation. About 20 people worked around the crash site. Some were cutting into the ship with special tools while others cataloged and packed smaller pieces. "There's Dr. Park," Hyunji whispered, pointing to a tall figure standing near one of the floodlights. Dr. Park was watching workers remove what looked like a glowing crystal from the center of the ship. Even from a distance, Jin-Ho could see the excitement on the man's face. He was getting exactly what he came for: alien technology. Jin-Ho scanned the site, looking for a way in. The east side had fewer workers as Tae-woo had promised. A gap between two guard positions offered their best chance. "Let's go back for Bayek," Jin-Ho said. "It's now or never." Returning to the utility craft, they found Bayek already trying to pull itself out using its front limbs. The dragon was eager to reunite with its ship. "Easy," Jin-Ho said, helping to support Bayek's weight. "We'll get you there." With great effort, they managed to get back onto the ground. The dragon's lower body still dragged uselessly, but its front limbs were surprisingly strong. Jin-Ho and Hyunji positioned themselves on either side, helping to support and guide the massive creature. Their progress was slow. Every few steps they had to stop and rest. Bayek was heavy despite its weakened state, and the terrain was rough with loose rocks that shifted under their feet. As they approached the edge of the work site, Jin-Ho signaled for them to stop. A guard walked past, looking bored and tired. When he moved on, they quickly crossed the open space and hid behind a pile of equipment. "We're inside the perimeter," Jin-Ho whispered. "Now we need to reach the center of the ship without being seen." Through their mental link, Bayek sent an image to Jin-Ho, a glowing core at the center of the ship pulsing with energy. "The heart of your ship," Jin-Ho understood. "That's where we need to go." They waited for a shift change when several workers moved away from their positions at once. In that moment of confusion, they hurried forward, keeping low behind various pieces of equipment and debris. At last, they reached what remained of the main body of the ship. Most of the outer hull had been removed, exposing the inner workings. Jin-Ho gasped at the sight. The technology was like nothing he had ever seen. A blend of mechanical parts and what looked like living tissue, all connected by flowing lines of energy. "It's amazing," Hyunji breathed. "The ship is partly alive." Through their link, Jin-Ho felt Bayek's confirmation. The ship was a living extension of the dragon, grown rather than built, connected to Bayek's consciousness. They found an opening into the central chamber, where the largest crystal still pulsed with fading light. Workers had been preparing to remove it but had taken a break, leaving tools scattered around. Jin-Ho helped Bayek move toward the crystal. As they got closer, both the crystal and Bayek began to glow more brightly. Tendrils of light reached out from the crystal toward the dragon. "It recognizes you," Jin-Ho said. Bayek stretched out its front limbs toward the crystal. The mental link between Jin-Ho and Bayek suddenly intensified, flooding Jin-Ho's mind with information. How the ship functioned, how it connected with Bayek, how the damage to both could be repaired if they were rejoined. "I understand," Jin-Ho said, his voice filled with wonder. "I know what we need to do." Using his mechanical knowledge and the new understanding from Bayek, Jin-Ho began to carefully realign broken connections between the crystal and the remaining ship systems. His hands moved with sure purpose, guided by both his human expertise and Bayek's alien knowledge. Hyunji watched in amazement. "Jinho, how do you know what to do?" "Beck is showing me," he explained as he worked. "The ship is alive, Hyunji. It's not just technology. It's a living system that grows and adapts with its pilot. They need to reconnect fully." As Jinho worked, the glow from both Bayek and the crystal grew stronger. Thin strands of light began to weave between them, forming new connections. "Stop right there!" A sharp voice cut through the air. Jinho turned to see Dr. Park standing at the entrance to the chamber, with 2 armed guards beside him. His face was twisted with anger and surprise. "Step away from the alien technology," Dr. Park ordered. "You have no idea what you're interfering with." Jinho stood his ground. "You're the one who doesn't understand. This ship is alive. It's connected to its pilot. If you separate them, both will die." Dr. Park's eyes widened as he noticed Bayek for the first time. "The pilot survived," he breathed. "Extraordinary." His surprise quickly turned to calculation. "This changes everything. We'll take them both back to Earth for study." "No," Jinho said firmly. "I won't let you treat them like lab specimens." Dr. Park nodded to the guards who raised their weapons. "You don't have a choice, mechanic. Step aside now." In that critical moment, the crystal pulsed suddenly with blinding light. Everyone shielded, their eyes except Jinho, who was somehow protected by his connection with Bayek. The dragon pulled itself upright with newfound strength, its red eyes glowing like fire. It placed its front limbs directly on the crystal. A surge of energy flowed between them, so powerful that the air itself seemed to vibrate. Jinho felt a sudden urge to complete one final connection, a broken circuit between 2 major systems. His hands moved without conscious thought, guided by the knowledge flowing from Bayek. As he joined the last pieces together, the entire chamber filled with white light. The transformation began. The crystal seemed to melt and flow into Bayek's body. At the same time, parts of the ship's remaining structure began to shift and move toward the dragon. Metal, crystal, and living tissue merged together in a process that was both beautiful and strange to watch. Dr. Park and the guards backed away in fear and awe. Hyunji moved to Jinho's side, gripping his arm tightly. "What's happening?" she asked. "Beck is becoming whole again," Jinho explained, understanding flowing through their mental link. "The ship can't be rebuilt as it was, but its core systems can merge with Bayek to create something new." The light grew so intense that for a moment nothing else could be seen. When it finally faded, Jinho looked up to see Beck transformed. The once paralyzed dragon now stood firmly on all 4 limbs. Its white scales now had patterns of glowing circuits running through them. Crystal structures had formed along its spine and wings, reinforcing the damaged areas. Its red eyes glowed with renewed life and energy. Most amazingly, Beck was standing. The paralysis was gone, healed by the integration with the ship's technology. Dr. Park stared in shock. "What is it now?" he demanded. Jinho smiled with wonder and relief. "It's whole again. Ship and pilot united in a new form." Beck turned its head to look at Jinho. Through their link, Jinho felt a wave of gratitude and joy. The dragon had never expected to walk again, yet here it stood, healed and whole because a human mechanic had carried it when it could not carry itself. Jinho reached out and placed his hand on Bayek's side, feeling the warm pulse of life and energy flowing through the transformed being. "You're welcome," he said softly. "That's what friends do." Silence fell over the chamber as everyone stared at the transformed Bayek. The dragon stood tall and strong, its white scales now threaded with glowing lines of energy. The crystal structures along its spine pulsed with light in rhythm with its breathing. Dr. Park was the first to break the silence. He stepped forward, his initial shock giving way to scientific curiosity and ambition. "This is remarkable," he said, reaching toward Beck. "The technology has bonded with the biological form. The research potential is beyond anything." Beck's head snapped around to face Dr. Park. The dragon's red eyes narrowed and it made a low rumbling sound deep in its throat. The message was clear even without telepathy. Stay back. I wouldn't touch it if I were you, Jinho warned. Beck understands exactly what you plan to do. Dr. Park ignored the warning and signaled to his guards. Secure the specimen. We're taking it back to Earth. The guards raised their weapons nervously, clearly unsure about threatening a creature like Bayek. Before they could act, Bayek's wings expanded to their full span, now reinforced with the same crystalline material as its spine. The dragon raised its head and released a pulse of energy that rippled through the air. Every electronic device in the room suddenly went dead. The guards' weapons powered down, the floodlights outside flickered and died, and even Dr. Park's communication device fell silent. What happened? One of the guards asked, panic in his voice. Some kind of electromagnetic pulse, Hyunji guessed. Beck disabled all the electronics. Jinho stepped forward, placing himself between Beck and the Earth team. It's not your technology to take, he said firmly to Dr. Park. Beck is a living being, not a specimen or a weapon. Dr. Park's face hardened. You have no authority here, mechanic. That creature represents technology that could advance human development by centuries. The government will decide what happens to it. No, Jinho said simply. Beck will decide what happens next. And I think it's time for you to leave. As if to emphasize Jinho's words, Beck moved forward, its transformed body moving with grace and power. The guards backed away quickly. Dr. Park held his ground a moment longer before stepping aside. This isn't over, he promised. Through their mental link, Jinho felt Bayek's thoughts, not just emotions now, but clear ideas. The dragon wanted to leave this place, to return to the stars. But first, it had something to share with Jinho. Beck lowered its head until it was level with Jinho's. The connection between them deepened, and information began to flow into Jinho's mind. He saw designs for engines that used minimal fuel, materials that could repair themselves, and systems that worked in harmony with nature rather than against. And these are gifts, Jinho realized. Technology your people use. Beck blinked in confirmation. These weren't secrets stolen but freely given. Knowledge shared between friends, from one mechanic to another. Jinho turned to Dr. Park, who watched the exchange with narrowed eyes. You wanted alien technology? I'll share some with you, technology that helps rather than harms, but Beck goes free. Those are my terms. Dr. Park considered for a long moment, calculation visible on his face. Finally, he nodded. Agreed, but I want everything the creature shared with you. Not everything, Jinho said. Only what's safe for humans to have now. Some knowledge needs to be earned, not taken. Over the next few days, a tense peace held at the crash site. Jinho worked with Taewoo to document the safe technologies Beck had shared. Designs for efficient engines, sustainable energy systems, and materials that were stronger and lighter than anything humans had created. Dr. Park was clearly disappointed that there were no weapons included, but the value of the other technology was enough to satisfy the company's demands. The Jovian Authority launched an investigation into the corporate team's activities, giving Bayek time to recover fully and prepare for departure. During this time, Jinho and Bayek spent hours together, strengthening their unusual friendship. Through their mental link, Jinho learned about Bayek's people, the Nixians, a race of biomechanical engineers who had been watching humanity's development from afar. Will your people come to meet us officially someday? Jinho asked one evening as they sat on a ridge overlooking the settlement. Beck shared an image of stars aligning in a particular pattern, a time when formal contact would be appropriate. It was still far in the future, but not impossibly so. I hope I live to see it, Jinho said with a smile. The night before Beck's planned departure, Jinho, Hyunji, and Taewoo gathered at a remote location far from the settlement. The sky above Ganymede was clear, with Jupiter hanging large and bright on the horizon. Will you be able to find your way home? Hyunji asked, gently touching Bayek's side. Through Jinho, Bayek explained that the integration with the ship's systems had restored its navigation abilities. The journey would be long but possible. Taewoo had resigned from Stellar Technologies and decided to stay on Ganymede. There's more to learn here, he explained. Real discovery, not just taking things for corporate profit. As the moment of departure drew near, Jin-Ho felt a mix of happiness and sadness. He was glad Beck would return home, but he would miss his alien friend deeply. Will you ever come back? He asked through their fading mental connection. Beck shared a final series of images, stars being born and dying, civilizations rising and falling, and through it all, the descendants of humans and Nixians working together among the stars. It wasn't a promise to return soon, but something more meaningful. A vision of a shared future. Jin-Ho placed his hand on Bayek's side one last time, feeling the warm pulse of life beneath the scales. Thank you, he said simply. Beck gently touched Jin-Ho's forehead with one claw. A final thought passed between them. Not just gratitude, but something like family. The dragon who had been carried would never forget the human who had carried it, and the mechanic who fixed broken things would always remember the time he helped fix a friend. With no further words needed, Beck moved away from the small group of humans. The crystal structures along its spine began to glow more brightly. Its wings extended to their full span, now seeming impossibly large and strong for a creature that had once been paralyzed. With a powerful leap, Beck launched itself upward. The wings caught the thin Ganymede air, and the dragon rose higher and higher. The biomechanical systems integrated into its body glowed brighter as Bayek activated capabilities that Jin-Ho could only guess at. Soon, Bayek was just a bright point of light against the black sky, moving faster and higher until it was indistinguishable from the stars. Do you think we'll see others like Beck someday? Hyunji asked as they watched the sky. Jin-Ho nodded. I know we will. Beck showed me. Not soon, but someday. Tae-woo looked thoughtful. What will you do now, Jin-Ho, after everything you've seen and learned? Jin-Ho smiled as he turned away from the sky to face his friends. What I've always done. Fix things. Make them better. But now I have some new ideas about how to do that. In his mind, Jin-Ho could still feel the echo of Bayek's presence. A reminder that sometimes carrying something broken was the first step toward helping it fly again. And sometimes, the things we fix end up fixing us in return. As they walked back toward the settlement, Jin-Ho looked up one last time at the stars. Somewhere out there, Beck was flying home to tell its people about the human mechanic who had seen beyond the alien exterior to recognize a kindred spirit. It was enough. It was everything.